What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon NBA DFS video for Wednesday, February 7th. We have a 7-game slate, so one more game than we've had the past couple of nights. We're going to look at it. We're going to do it exactly like we've done before. If you've never been here before, you're in for a treat. After this video, if you need a little bit more help, you want to see some of our projections, 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks at each position, that'll be in the description right here. That'll be today's article. Definitely go check that out. Let us know your thoughts on that. Those are just some of the projections, not the only ones we like. Those are some of the projections. If you want to see all of them, you got to go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com and you got to sign up for FTA+. We have a lot of free content for NBA. We also have some premium content as well. If you sign up for a month, you get sports betting, DFS, you get PGA, NBA, NFL betting for the Super Bowl, NASCAR once it starts, MLB once it starts. So a lot to go over there. We do try to have giveaways every single day. The way to do that, like the video, be a subscriber. If the video gets at least 50 likes and you leave a comment, someone will win a free week of DFS content. 100 likes is a free month, 125 likes a free year, 150 or more likes on any video, leave a comment. You have a chance to win a lifetime pass, normally worth $500. We have a lot of lifetime pass winners. Also, another way to do it, like the video, be a subscriber, tell me who's going to score the most amount of DraftKings fantasy points and how many fantasy points will they score. You get it close without going over, you will win a free week of DFS content. You get it exactly correct, you will win a free month. And we did have a winner yesterday. We had a winner for Monday's video, and that went to the King Raheem. He has won multiple times, 2 times weekly winner, 1 times monthly, starting to pile up the accolades. Yes, you are. And he can win every single day. That's the thing. So like the video, be a subscriber, get into it. Good luck to everyone who tries. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make you better at DFS, but we also want to help you out as well. So that being said, you guys kind of liked what we did last time, so I want to do it again. I want to continue to do this way. If you like it a different way, let me know, but we kind of want to go over. So we don't have all of the Vegas odds right now. We have 7 games, so we're going to go over some of the things that we actually have. Cleveland versus Washington, we do not have a line right now, so that's just something we don't have. Same thing, Toronto, Charlotte, they've got Toronto being the money line favorite, but we don't know the spread right now. Now, depending on when you watch this video, I am having to put this out pretty early because I have to go into the office for my Wednesday, and I don't know if we're going to have content. So I'm going to try my best, but I don't know if we're going to have content outside of this. It'll really just depend on what I can get done early in the morning. On top of that, if you guys are part of FTA Plus and we don't have content for today, I will grant an extra day to everybody once your subscriptions are up. That's the only way to do it. Once you don't have a active subscription, then I can add on to it. So that being said, we'll continue. Golden State versus Philly. With Embiid being out, we know that it's going to open up some value. Other places, whether or not we get that somewhere, we will find out. Golden State, a 2-point spread right now, with Golden State being a slight money line favorite. This game, it could be a pretty good game to look at. Atlanta versus Boston does not have any numbers. San Antonio versus Miami, Miami being an 8-point favorite, and we've got an over-under of 224. Like I said, Golden State, Philly, 236.5. Over-under is what we're looking at. And then we've got Detroit at Sacramento. Sacramento being a 13-point favorite, but as we've seen, when Detroit is in there, sometimes the game's a little bit closer, because if you just look at this on paper, we're like, might be a blowout. Because it is a 242 over-under, I still like this. I want to take exposure to both Detroit and Sacramento. I don't think it's going to be a 13-point spread. I could be wrong, but the way Detroit's kind of been staying into the game lately, I kind of like this as just focusing that, especially at 242. And then we got New Orleans versus the Clippers, minus 6.5 for the Clippers, and a 233.5 over under. So James Harden came out and dominated for us the other day. We'll look into it. So that's kind of what we do here. So we got the Vegas odds. Now we want to jump into just looking at the games. So on top of that, at the end of the video, we will kind of build a lineup using DVP. Now, there's people that are against DVP. There's people that are for DVP. It is one way to go about it. Other ways to go about it, check out Fantasy Team Advisors, all the tools we have to offer there. This is just one way. This is not the only way. If you're just looking to buy lineups and that's it, you're probably in the wrong spot. We do have optimal lineups on the site, but I suggest this to everybody, use it as a starting stone. Do not just copy paste and that is it. If that makes sense, that's awesome. We are trying to make you a better DFS player. We are not just trying to give you a lineup. If you're looking for that, you've come to the wrong place. But if you liked the video at all, if you found it helpful, hit the like button, because a little goes a long way, especially if you guys like watch the ads or click on the ads. It's a free step. I know ads are annoying, but it helps us out. That being said, let's take a look at Cleveland versus Washington. So we look here. Donovan Mitchell's been on fire. We've used him for sports betting. We've used Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley. These guys are key. You know what you're going to get out of it. But then you've got a Karis LeVert here coming through 5,800. At 5,300, he went through for 38. The minutes are about 25 minutes, so we're looking pretty good there. Tyus Jones. The minutes are there. The pricing's kind of up there for what he's brought to the table. So he's kind of priced out of my range a little bit. Daniel Gafford would be a center, a tournament option. He's 5,800. I wouldn't use him in cash. I would use him in tournaments, like I said. So that's where I would look at. But he should go under owned, especially at 5,800. I don't mind him. He doesn't have the best of matchup, but I don't mind him there. That's probably as low as I would go. I don't think I'd go any lower than Strus here at 5,600. That's probably as low as I'm going to go for both sides. Now, again, we've got to wait for the over-unders and stuff like that, but that's kind of where I'd focus on this game. Toronto versus Charlotte. We know that Charlotte is not a very good team. People are putting the ball up on them a lot. Yeah, so LaMelo Ball, questionable. This is kind of waiting. So, yeah, I fully expect him to be gone. As bad as they are, they're not going to push him. I expect him not to be in this game, so that's a $9,300 player out, which would then, in turn, bring up an Emmanuel Quickley, who has come off, had a bad game in 24 minutes. That's the problem. The minutes were weird. I don't know why the minutes were like that. Only 24, where he came off 43, 30, 37. So he had his lowest minutes played, but I think people are going to see that maybe be off of him. I think I would look at Emmanuel Quickley a little bit in this matchup. Jacob Poeltl, I would definitely look at with his pricing. I definitely like what he's bringing to the table. Kind of an off game there against Houston, but again, the minutes have upticked since then. So that's kind of what I would look at there. Definitely a little bit of Poeltl at 5,900. Again, you're going to find some value today with the center position. And I just feel like we're in a good spot where we can pay up at other positions, but we could be in store for a pretty good game on top of that as well. So looking at that, I would go down there. Dennis Schroeder, depending. The minutes are very inconsistent. 18 minutes the last game, 8.5. But then the time before that, 36 minutes. 38.5, and then not a good game, and then a good game. So it's been up and down. Tournament-wise, Dennis Schroeder, I'm okay with. Okay? Probably Nick Richards a little bit. Again, there's just other options. 5,500, if I'm paying down, I'm probably paying the other two that we talked about at 5,800 and 5,900. And I don't think I'd go any lower than that. Yeah, I wouldn't go any lower than that. So it's basically P.J. Washington, or it's Nick Richards and up is where I would focus on the player pool in this game. Next game, Atlanta-Boston. I think this could be a pretty good game. Capella, he was out the last game. Strained. Yeah. So he's going to be out. So that'll bring up, is this Plumlee? Or am I thinking wrong? Yep, I'm thinking wrong. With Clint Capella being out, who does that open up? Let's see. Who did we use the other night? Onyeka Okongwu. Well, he's 5,700 now, so I believe they brought him up in price a little bit. Yeah, he was 4,800. Then on Monday he was 5,100. So they're bringing his price up a little bit. I don't know if I like that at his price. Again, we got to wait throughout the day. That is where the news and everything will break to let us know if these players are going to be in or out. So we look at that. Okongwu would make sense, but Jason Tatum, Trae Young, Jaylen Brown, Deontay Murray, Porzingis, Jalen Johnson, Derek White. These are players that I'd look at. Saddiq Bey was questionable the other day. Played 33 minutes, underperformed in that one. I don't know if I'll be using Saddiq Bey at all. But we will look at Okongwu and up, I think, maybe a little bit of Al Horford. The minutes just, I wish they were more minutes. Again, he's doing more than 1 point per minute, which is fantastic. His price is 5,100 in a game where his matchup is pretty good for him. Tournament, cheap option, Al Horford, both power forward and center. I don't mind him at all. That would probably be as far down as I would go. Maybe a little bit of Peyton Pritchard for tournaments at 3,500. It'll just depend on the minutes. The problem is the minutes, if he could get 20 minutes consistently, but he hasn't really brought anything. So I'm probably off of him. But again, if you're making 20 plus lineups a day, I'm completely okay with everything, a lot of players to be able to build around, especially at that low price. So, that being said, we go on, we persevere, we go to Golden State versus Philly. So, Golden State versus Philly, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than maybe we're expecting, and that's completely okay. But with Embiid out, it's always a big question, who's going to take over at center position? So if we just look at center position, is it going to be Paul Reed? Some days it's Paul Reed. Some days he plays 22 minutes, 11 points. So 2 really bad games. Then he played 28 minutes against Utah, 31 fantasy points. So is it going to be him? Is it going to be Mo Bamba? 18 minutes, the minutes are there. The price, it's okay, but 19 fantasy points, 12.5. He's also not done anything. It's really hard to understand who's going to be for Philly. We don't know. We had KJ Martin, 21 minutes, 22.5 fantasy points. It's a crapshoot. I think it's probably going to be, with Embiid out, that's a big name out. I think we can look at other players here. Tyrese Maxey, 2 days ago, he was one of our core plays against Dallas, 27 fantasy points. Did nothing for us. Absolutely nothing for us. We've got Tobias Harris, Kuminga, Draymond Green, just depends. I wanted to look at Klay Thompson, but there was an article. He's getting pulled late in games, 30 minutes instead of 35 or 36. He's priced up like he's the Splash Bros, and I think that's kind of over. So I don't know if I like Klay Thompson. I'm probably off of him a little bit. Pat Beverly, we've got 20 minutes out of him. He's been very inconsistent. There's just a lot of inconsistencies when we figure out who we're going to take. But I think you want exposure to this game. I think Steph Curry obviously makes sense. Maxey, I think, makes sense, but he's pretty pricey. Got a middle-of-the-road defensive rank against him. Kelly Oubre Jr., Brandon Podziemski, I'm okay with those guys. I'm probably off of Klay. It's probably Podziemski and up, but Paul Reed really hasn't done anything. So I'm probably going to just fade the centers in this game and go with the other ones that we've already talked about. Then we got San Antonio versus Miami. We got Victor, obviously Wembanyama. Wemby, 50-plus fantasy points, what you're looking, especially at 8,800. We look at this, and we see not the best of defensive matchups for him, but I think you want to get him in there. Bam Adebayo, we look at him at 8,000. We look at his 40. We're looking right around 40 is probably what you could expect. So, again, you guys are playing cash. You're looking for, let's just round up, 7 times or more value. If you're playing tournaments where you want to differentiate yourself from the pack, we're looking at about 8-9 times value. It's going to be very hard consistently to get that every single day out of every single player. That's why sometimes you go with a $3,500 player, knowing or expecting you're probably going to get maybe 12, 15, 18 fantasy points out of them, but putting them in allows you to build around him with some stars. So Jimmy Butler makes sense. Devin Vassell, I like. Tyler Hero, Rozier, depending on the minutes. It just depends on what minutes you're going to get, but we're looking right around 30-plus fantasy points out of him almost any given night. We got Trey Jones here at 5,700, where he hasn't been too bad. Looking to see if he's played Miami this year. Nope. But I mean, again, with him 5,700, I'm okay with. We got Jeremy here with the hair. Inconsistency, but 5,400, he allows you to pay up at other positions. Zach Collins, I'm probably tournament I'm okay with. 4,900 though, I'm probably off of him. If I'm paying, I'm probably paying right around the 5,800 is the lowest I would pay for center. Then we got Detroit versus Sacramento. Again, I think this game might stay closer than people are expecting. So bonus makes sense. De'Aaron Fox, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Bogdanovich, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter. I would look at 5,000. He's been inconsistent, but with the way this kind of feels, he would be one that this kind of slate you could pay down for a little bit. Again, stars and scrubs type lineup. Harrison Barnes, it depends. You're getting some really good games out of him, and then you're not. So 28 his last game of 4,800. Then we had 38 here, 53. Like, we're getting some really good games out of him, but then you're getting like a 14.25. But the minutes are there. So Harrison Barnes is playing 30-plus minutes a game. 35-plus minutes a game the last one, well, except for his last game against Cleveland. And that was a blowout. So, again, the blowout potential with this one, maybe it's a blowout. Maybe it's not. But if it's a blowout on Sacramento side, maybe he gets a little bit more run for his money there. So Harrison Barnes at 4,800 makes a fantastic lower cheap option there. That's probably, Oscar Thompson getting minutes and coming off a really good game, 4,400 would be a cheaper option as well. You could definitely look at. I don't think I'd go any lower. Maybe a little bit of Trey Lyles. But yeah, inconsistency there. 3,200 though. This would be one where if Sacramento in fact does get up that big, we could see Trey Lyles play some more minutes, and that's basically what we need out of him. So I don't mind a Trey Lyles at 3,200. Very, very cheap option. Allows you to basically go anywhere with that lineup. So for instance, let's just put Trey Lyles in there. I'm just going to put Trey Lyles in here right now, power forward. We'll get to it afterwards. So New Orleans versus the Clippers, depending on who we're going to get. James Harden. It's crazy to see the arc James Harden had. Used to be very high person, went to a couple of the teams, got lower down. Now he's the highest priced player in this game. Coming off 64.5 fantasy points. I think he was the highest scorer on Monday. 30 actual points. He's had 51 actual points in his last two games, but then he had the stinker. We used him against Detroit. A good matchup, 34 minutes, 18.25 fantasy points. But he's in a good matchup here that I like. I like James Harden. I like Kawhi, Brandon Ingram, Paul George, Williamson. I don't know. He's also one of those inconsistent. He's getting the minutes. He's coming off 22 minutes, though, but they were up big, 138 to 100. Absolute blowout. That's why they took him out. So that is the problem if it is, in fact, a blowout. But it is the other side, the Clippers at 6.5. So he could be in store for playing about 35 minutes. I don't mind him. They have dropped his price to 7,300. So I would look at him a little bit. McCollum a little bit, Valanciunas, Russell Westbrook. It depends. Is it going to be Westbrook any given day? Is it going to be Harden? Westbrook's going to give you salary relief, but at what cost? So there's just other options, I think, today. Norman Powell would be a tournament option I would look at. Trey Murphy III would be very tournament at 4,500. Really just depends what he brings to the table, too. So there's the breakdown of all the games, all 7, all player pools that we could look at. Again, is it a perfect science? No, but we're going to show you a little bit more. So what we have on the site is DVP, or fantasy points allowed by position. We see all of that. So this is one tool to build. I'm getting a lot of good feedback about this. If you guys like it, hit the like button. If you want to see other things in this video, put those down, and I will try my best to get other things in the video as well. So what are you looking for? Any given day, I have another video that comes out normally by 11 a.m. Central Time, bets. So the best bets and trends for the day. I won't have one for today. I already know that, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll continue that on. So that just a heads up there. So looking at this, the Spurs give up the most amount of fantasy points to the opposing point guard. 56.9 fantasy points on DraftKings. And again, we have the Fanduel tab too. So if you guys play Fanduel, the tab is there for you guys as well. I just prefer DraftKings. So 56.9 San Antonio, that is normally who you would want to target a point guard against, and they are playing today. So that's Miami. So who is the Miami point guard, or who will be playing? So we've got two that we feel confident about. Most likely it's going to be Tyler. So we look at him. He played Tuesday, and he had a headache. Again, we talked about this, I think, yesterday's video. Migraines are a big deal, especially for running up and down a court. But we look at this, 6,500. He is in store. I mean, on paper, he has a fantastic game here. So I really like him as a middle-of-the-road $6,500 player, which allows other positions. So we can look at other things. We can build around him as well. So shooting guard, we move here. We see Utah gives up 46.4. Same thing with Atlanta. So Utah and Atlanta. So I think they both play. Well, no, Utah doesn't play, do they? Atlanta plays. So that's Boston. Shooting guard for Boston. Jaylen Brown, Derek White. Drew Holiday is questionable. Don't know if he'll play. Right elbow sprain. Probably going to be out. I'm probably off of him. So it would be between Jaylen Brown and Derek White. You can see 6,500. He's averaging 32.8. Jaylen Brown, 8,000, averaging 38.2. So you want to maybe take the money on this one. Look at 6,500 Derek White. You're still able to average right around, 6,700 per one. And we still have, remember, the center, depending, I haven't looked, but the center position we could pay down for today. And it would be pretty awesome if one of the center positions that we're paying down for is in a good spot DVP-wise. So look at this. Look at small forward. Washington, 53.5. Utah, 48.9. They're not playing. We are looking at San Antonio Spurs today. San Antonio has given up an average of 48.2 fantasy points to the small forward position. So San Antonio is playing Miami. Jimmy Butler. We're looking at Jaquez too, probably off of him. So Jimmy Butler is in a good spot. He is 7,600. We look at him game log wise, coming off 35s, not the best, but again, we see 41, 51, 45, 50. So we see this, the minutes are there. We know what we're going to get out of Jimmy Butler. I'm going to have Jimmy Butler here, and that still allows us 6,500 the rest of the way. And that is not if we don't find a value pick. So we are going to get into the power forward. Let's just look. So Atlanta gives up the most. And if you look at that, they give up an average of 52.3. So Atlanta, it's Boston. If you don't want to go with Trey Lyles, so Porzingis or Al Horford, you could take, Al Horford there. Game log, like I said earlier, 5,100. He's got a good matchup. The minutes are in the middle. Then Porzingis. Looking at him, 7,500. I kind of like him. So we'll draft him, and that'll throw, that throws in center. But let's go with Porzingis. Let's go forward and Porzingis, and we'll just throw him in there right now. And then we get to the center position. We look at the center position. Washington, 64. Atlanta, 59.5. So Atlanta gives up a ton, and that's Boston again. So you could put Porzingis in there for the center position. Horford in there. Depending. And then Horford would be a cheaper option. So let's just, for instance, and again, this is not the only way to do it, but we could look at this. So Horford is in there, for instance. So we have a guard for 6,800 and utility of 6,800. So if you wanted to go with some of the value that we talked about, you can just open it up to everything, hit the utility, and we can come down here to like 5,800 and just kind of look at these players. Jacob Poeltl in a good matchup here against Charlotte. Game log wise, not too bad at 5,900. I don't mind him. So let's throw him in there, and that still averages 7,700 for guards. So if we come back here and we look at point guard or shooting guard, we look at Charlotte. So Charlotte, for instance, that's the next one that I saw. That's Toronto. Toronto shooting guard at 7,000. Emmanuel Quickly, like I've already talked about in store for a good game, that could be a lineup that you use. Am I going to only use that? No. Am I going to make multiple lineups? Yes. So this is just a demo of how to build like a lineup using different tools. Now, on top of that, we do have other things on the website, which I'm going to show you right now. Everything that I'm going to show you is from Tuesday. So everything we have is from Tuesday, but I just wanted to show you what we have and what you guys maybe are in store for or could see, or for instance, if you sign up for FTA Plus, this is what we have. So we have NBA, we have player trends. So the player trends are both Fanduel and DraftKings, and they are what they've scored by, like, for instance, what they've scored. Let me just show you. So we look at this. This is one of the tools. And again, this is yesterday, but you can see like Giannis, when they're trailing or they're underdogs by 0 to 5 points, he scored 63.3 DraftKings points. Luka, when they're 0 to 5 point favorites, 62.7. Karl Anthony Towns, 52.1 when it's a 5 to 10 point spread as the favorite, so on and so forth. So that is a tool. Let me pause this real quick. So just other things we have to offer. Kind of looking at this, we got minutes played, so everyone who's played at least 1 minute this year will be on this list for every single team. Fantasy points allowed by position is exactly what we used in this video. The Vegas odds, will have them updated, but if you go to Vegas odds here, it'll be, and what I do is I put all the Vegas odds there, and then I sort it by the highest over under, just so you can kind of see. So you can see the spread, you can see the open and the current. So for Friday or for Tuesday, you see where the line is opened and where it's currently, so where it is moved, so you can take advantage of that. Another one is DFS top plays. So both FanDuel and DraftKings, both from spread or DVP and implied team totals. So it goes DraftKings and FanDuel in those two markets. We've got our player projections, which is exactly what it sounds like. They are DFS player projections. We take in lots of so matchup wise, we look at DVP. We look at projections, last 5 games, Vegas odds, historical matchups, minutes played, all go into that. NBA chalk. So with the chalk, if you're playing cash, you want to look at the top. So with cash, you want to take the ownership percentage. If you're playing tournaments, you want to go a little bit lower. You want to take something down here where, lower ownership percentage players, that's where you would go with. So on Tuesday, SGA somehow is the lowest owned point guard. Want to take him. So that's kind of where you look at for cash or tournaments. Our cheat sheet, which is right here, which includes each position. It's got 4 to 5 players for cash, 4 to 5 players for tournament, and then some leverage play. So on top of that, you see that. We've got DraftKings tiers. We've got FanDuel and DraftKings lineups as well. Again, a starting point, not an end-all, be-all. Don't just copy-paste. Look at them, figure out if it works with your player pool, and use it that way. There's just a lot of ways to use it. And then on top of that, we do have sports betting, right? So the last thing on here is our sports betting. Now, we did have a bad day, I will admit, and this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm not Vegas Dave. We're not going to get everything right. But I'm also not going to lie to you. I'm not going to switch them out. I'm not going to say we're 100% or our hit rate is 100%. It's not. We've been doing pretty good. We did hit a skid on Tuesday, or on Monday. We went 1-6. Not a good day. And these are bets that I do as well. So I'm not hiding anything. So you can see when I was out on the cruise, no bets. Then we had a run of only 1 or 2 wrong, and then Monday derailed. But again, that's betting for you. So what I'm going to do by the All-Star break, I'm going to have give you guys a hit percentage. So the All-Star game, I believe, is the 18th. So I think the break goes from like the 14th to the 20. I don't remember what it is, but we'll look at it when we get there. And I'll give you guys first half stats of how our sports betting's done. So a lot of things to consider. We've got a lot of things at the website. We're very excited for MLB coming up. So questions, comments, concerns, get those down below. Liking the video, hitting the ads, leaving a comment. All of that helps the algorithm. Check out all of the premium content we have, all the free content we have. I think we're a little bit different than other DFS sites because, one, it's only me. It's my money. We've been around since 2014. I don't have the funds to pay for an algorithm or a lineup generator because those are like $5,000 up front, and then it's like $400 a month just to keep up with the stats. Again, we're a smaller company. If you have questions, any little bit helps. Critiquing helps as long as you guys give idea. Like, what are you looking for on the site? What are you looking for on these videos? Go check out our MLB content because we put a lot out there during the season last year, and we're going to continue to build on top of that as well. So that's what I've got in this video. Good luck today, and as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.